I had spent every waking moment of my life building a future for my son, Alexander, raising him alone after his mother had left when he was barely 3. The nights I spent crying silently in an empty house, the struggles to make ends meet, the endless sacrifices at work, and the loneliness that gnawed at my soul. All of it was supposed to culminate in seeing him happy, in watching him thrive. I had imagined every milestone, his first steps, his graduation, his wedding day, but never had I prepared myself for the kind of shock that today would bring. The morning of his wedding arrived with a deceptive calm. I woke before dawn, brewing coffee with shaky hands, rehearsing smiles for the photographs, trying to mask the anxious dread coiling in my chest. My heart pounded not with excitement, but with a gnawing premonition that something was wrong, though I could not name it. As I drove to the grand venue, memories of every sleepless night, every struggle, every tear I had shed for Alexander flooded back. I remembered the nights I stayed awake patching his tiny clothes, the arguments with landlords, the humiliations at work so I could provide him the life he deserved. I had sacrificed my youth, my comfort, even love itself, all for him. And yet, a shadow of unease had been growing quietly over the past months. Subtle hints, a tone in his voice, a glance at a photograph of his fiancée, Victoria, that unsettled me deeply. She was charming, yes, flawless in public, polite, radiant, but something about her eyes never sat right with me. I couldn't explain it. Maybe it was a father's intuition, or maybe it was fear of losing the son I had fought so hard to raise. When I arrived, the hall was resplendent with flowers, lights, and laughter. Guests were buzzing with excitement, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Alexander greeted me warmly, hugging me with the boyish ease I remembered from years ago, and for a fleeting moment, I felt relief. But then my eyes fell on Victoria, standing by the altar, radiant and smiling, and a shiver ran down my spine. She was beautiful, yes, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. There was a cold calculation hidden behind that perfect exterior. And suddenly, every uneasy feeling I had been trying to dismiss surged like a tidal wave. The ceremony began. As I stood there, watching my son exchange vows with a woman I could never accept, my mind refused to stay quiet. I noticed subtle things, the way she brushed past me without acknowledgement, the flicker of impatience in her expression when I tried to speak, the tiny smirk that seemed to pass across her lips when Alexander whispered something to her I couldn't hear. A knot formed in my stomach, twisting tighter with every word exchanged, with every "I do" pronounced. I felt as if I was watching not a wedding, but a betrayal unfold in slow motion. After the ceremony, as photos were being taken, I excused myself to the balcony, desperate for a breath of air. My heart pounded, my hands trembled, and my mind raced back to every sleepless night, every unpaid bill, every tear I had shed silently so my son could have a life I had always dreamed of for him. And now, here he was, walking into a future with someone I instinctively knew was not the woman for him, someone who would never truly value the sacrifices I had made. Then, a quiet whisper of intuition nudged me, something I couldn't ignore. I excused myself from the balcony and made my way toward the small service corridor behind the hall. There, by the corner, I saw a hotel staff member hurrying, carrying a stack of envelopes. My curiosity piqued. I glanced down and froze. One of the envelopes had Victoria's name on it, and the return address was not from her family, but from a luxury boutique in Paris, with a note that read, "For Alexander, make him yours completely." My hands shook. I knew deep down that these were not mere gifts. These were manipulations, bribes, a subtle but deliberate attempt to entwine herself into his life permanently, controlling him in ways I hadn't imagined. Panic surged. I needed proof, something undeniable. I slipped quietly into the adjacent lounge, where a video monitor showed the previous day's hotel activity. I had quietly arranged to check surveillance for my own peace of mind. My heart sank as I watched Victoria, in the hotel lobby just 2 nights ago, receiving a man's kiss on her lips, a man who was not Alexander. Her laughter, her whispers, her sly smile, all broadcasted on the screen before my eyes. The betrayal hit me with a force that knocked the air out of me. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every struggle, I realized it had all led to this moment, my son's happiness being quietly poisoned by someone I had feared all along. Tears blurred my vision as I turned back toward the hall. The ceremony continued, everyone oblivious to the storm raging inside me. Alexander was smiling, radiant, unaware of the shadows behind Victoria's perfect facade. My mind raced, torn between telling him the truth now or waiting for the right moment. But deep down, I knew the revelation would shatter him, just as it had shattered me. I walked back to my seat, my heart heavy, forcing a smile as the photographs continued. Later, during the reception, I saw subtle exchanges between Victoria and her accomplice. Glances, messages, and hidden smiles that confirmed every fear. I realized that this marriage was not built on love, but on careful manipulation. I could feel my son's life slipping away into hands that did not deserve him, and the pain was unbearable. Yet, I couldn't let the night collapse into confrontation. I stayed silent, watching, documenting every detail in my mind, storing each fragment of evidence that would one day protect Alexander from heartbreak I could foresee but could not yet prevent. By the end of the night, as I handed my son a quiet embrace, whispering words of love and caution, I felt a mixture of pride and devastation. Pride, for the man he had become despite every struggle. Devastation, for the path he had chosen blindly, unaware of the webs being woven around him. I realized that sometimes, sacrifices do not guarantee happiness. Sometimes, the heart that gives everything must also endure the unbearable pain of witnessing that everything being threatened. As the guests danced and celebrated, I retreated to a quiet corner, my mind replaying every memory, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, and every warning sign I had noticed but could not prevent him from ignoring. My heart was heavy, shattered, yet resolute. I had given him life, love, and guidance, and I would continue to do so, even if it meant watching him walk into shadows I could see but he could not. That night, I understood a truth that no father wishes to confront. Sometimes, giving your all is not enough to protect the one you love most. And as I left the hall under the cover of darkness, tears streaking my face, I silently vowed that this story was far from over, that I would protect my son, even if it meant confronting the betrayal that now loomed over his future, and even if it shattered my own heart beyond repair.